Hello, everyone, and welcome to Gull Lake United Methodist Church's Advent Devotional Series. And today is the devotion for the fourth week of Advent, and it is our last one for the 2024 Advent season. I hope you've had a chance to listen to them and have found the devotions helpful in your Advent journey this year. The title of our devotion today is Hope is Worth the Risk. So with that, let's start with a couple questions. Can you think about a time or a circumstance when you dared to hope? And this is hope that is a deep hope, not just being optimistic. That's more material. This is a hope that is deep in your faith, like faith and trust. So can you think about a time or a circumstance when you dared to hope at that level? And so that as you're thinking about that, can you recall if there were other emotions that you felt at that time? You may recall feeling vulnerable or that you were at risk. Well, that's what we're going to touch on a little bit this morning. So the two Bible passages that go with this devotion come from the book of Matthew is the first one. So it's Matthew 1:18 through 25. And this passage is the story of the birth of Jesus. And then the second one is in Luke. It's Luke 1, verses 46 through 55. And that section of Luke is called Mary's Song of Praise. So please take a moment to read those passages at some point during this week. So as I said, the title today is Hope is Worth the Risk, and we're going to focus on and reflect on hope. Hope is an important part in our belief in God. As I just said, it's similar to faith and trust in God. But hope is the one thing that can also make us feel vulnerable, because the more we hope, the more we open ourselves up to disappointment. Hope can feel scary and it can feel risky. But in the opposite direction, hope can change the world. We can hold hope in our hearts, and with hope we know things can be better. Our hope is a reflection of God's plans for the world. So the example that we find in that first passage in Matthew, it's Mary and Joseph and their story, and how they had hope in the impossible. Yet, while they were hoping in the impossible, they also believed in the possibility of a better world because of their faith in God and the message that He had given them and their part in that story. They placed their hope in something bigger than themselves. They trusted God, and because of that, they found out that hope can be transformative. And so we have this story of the birth of Jesus as an excellent example for us to think about as the good work and things that can come out of a deep hope. Every day we have the chance to choose hope and become part of God's dream for the world. But can choosing hope disrupt our lives? You bet. I mean, even though Mary and Joseph had hope, their hope disrupted their lives. But as the disruption passes, you get through it, oftentimes then we can look back and realize that God was indeed at work in our lives. That's the transformative part. So then that leads us to the passage in Luke and how this Mary's praise song connects here. So as I said, this passage is titled Mary's Praise Song, and it shows us Mary's response to her calling from God to be the mother of the Messiah. It shows her hope. And she sings a prayer of thanks to God. I mean, in her song, she sings of God's justice and mercy that inspires us still today. It inspires us to live out our faith in both tangible and transformative ways. So this week, think about how you can be hopeful when faced with some uncertainty. How can you find this courage to hold on to hope and to act on it? And when you're faced with that decision, think about how Mary and Joseph had hope and trust, and how joyful and thankful Mary was. And let that trust weave through the fabric of your life. Let's close out the devotion with a prayer. Please pray with me. Dear God, help us to trust like Joseph and sing like Mary. Prepare our hearts for Christ's arrival this week, and may our actions reflect your hope for humanity. Amen. I want to thank you for your commitment to these 4 weekly devotions. We've got just a couple more days, and it's going to be Christmas. So I want to say Merry Christmas, and God bless you, and take care. Bye-bye.